Beamy, 28 years old, working as a junior architect, living in a small apartment. Life is pretty normal. Work, hang out with my best friend Leo, try to date, fail spectacularly. The usual routine. My younger sister Maya is the complete opposite. She's a whirlwind of passion, activism, and really, really strong opinions. We are close, but we argue a lot, mostly about her woke capitalism ideas. Maya has always been a firecracker. Growing up, she was the one organizing protests in high school, volunteering for every cause imaginable. I was the quiet one, sketching buildings in my notebook. After college, she worked for a bunch of nonprofits, but she always dreamed of owning her own business. Something that would make a difference. 2 years ago, she finally did it. She opened a feminist-themed coffee cafe called The Daily Grind. And I mean, the theme was strong. The walls were covered in murals of famous women. The menu items were all puns on feminist icons. The Ruth Bader Ginsburg was actually pretty good. I was proud of her genuinely. She poured her heart and soul into that place. Her girlfriend, Chloe, a graphic designer, did all the branding. It was a cool little spot in a trendy part of the city. I would go there on weekends mostly to support her, but also because the coffee was legitimately excellent. Meyer and Chloe ran the place themselves with a couple of part-time employees. It was their baby. The first year was tough, like it is for any new business, but they were making it work. They had a loyal base of customers, mostly young, progressive types. Things seemed to be going okay. Then one evening, Maya called me, buzzing with excitement. I was at home, trying to finish up some blueprints for a new project. "You are not going to believe the idea I just had," she said, her voice a little too loud. "It is going to be revolutionary," I sighed, leaning back in my chair. "What is it this time, Maya? Are you replacing all the chairs with yoga balls to promote core strength?" She laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "No, better. We are going to implement a man tax." I sat up straight. "A what? A man tax. We are going to ask our male customers to pay an 18% surcharge on their orders." I stared at the wall of my apartment, which was suddenly feeling very small. "You cannot be serious." "I am deadly serious," she said, her tone shifting from excitement to righteousness. "It is to raise awareness about the gender pay gap. The extra money will be donated to a local women's shelter." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Maya, that is a terrible idea. You are going to alienate half of your customers." "No, I am not," she insisted. "The ones who get it will be happy to contribute. It is a conversation starter. It will get people talking." We went back and forth for an hour. I tried to reason with her, to explain the basic principles of business. You do not deliberately charge one group of customers more than another. It is not just bad for business, it is probably illegal. It is not a tax, it is a voluntary contribution, she clarified. We are not going to force anyone to pay it. That made it slightly better, but only slightly. I knew my sister. Her voluntary contribution would be presented with a healthy dose of social pressure. The next weekend, I went to the daily grind with Leo. He is my rock, the most level-headed person I know. I needed a second opinion, someone to tell me I was not crazy. The first thing we saw was the new chalkboard sign outside the cafe. In Chloe's perfect, whimsical handwriting, it read, "Welcome to the Daily Grind," where women have priority seating. Men are encouraged to pay an 18% surcharge to acknowledge the gender pay gap. All proceeds from the surcharge will be donated to the Downtown Women's Center. Respect goes both ways, Leo let out a low whistle. Well, she certainly did it. We went inside. The atmosphere was different. Usually the cafe was a cozy, bustling place with a mix of people working on laptops, chatting with friends. Today it was quieter, and the demographic had definitely shifted. It was almost entirely women. I saw a couple of guys huddled in a corner, looking deeply uncomfortable. Maya was behind the counter, a determined glint in her eye. She greeted us with a bright smile, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. When we ordered, she explained the new policy, her voice full of conviction. Leo, being the good sport that he is, agreed to pay the surcharge. As he was paying, a man in a business suit at the other end of the counter started to argue with Chloe. "This is discrimination," he said, his voice rising. "It is reverse sexism." Chloe, who was usually the calm, artistic type, was holding her own. "It is not discrimination, sir. It is a way to start a dialogue about a real issue." The man scoffed, threw his money on the counter, and stormed out. The cafe went silent for a moment. I looked at Maya. Her smile had vanished. We sat down with our coffees, and I tried to talk to her again. "Maya, are you sure about this? That guy was not the only one who looked upset." She crossed her arms, her jaw set. "He is just a fragile man who cannot handle being confronted with his privilege," she said. The next week, the story blew up. A local blogger wrote a scathing piece about the daily grind, calling it a man-hating establishment. The story got picked up by a national news outlet, and then it went international. My sister's little cafe was suddenly the subject of a global debate. The internet, of course, had a field day. There were think pieces, memes, and an avalanche of one-star reviews from people who had never even been to the cafe. Maya and Chloe were inundated with hate mail. They had to change their phone number. At first, Maya was defiant. She saw the backlash as proof that she was doing something important. "We are challenging the patriarchy," she told me, her eyes shining with a feverish light. Of course they are going to fight back, but the controversy was having a real-world impact on the business. The male customers, even the ones who had been regulars, stopped coming. And a lot of the female customers seemed to be staying away too. I think they were just uncomfortable with the confrontational atmosphere. The cafe, which had once been a symbol of my sister's dreams, was now a battleground. I went to visit her a month after the man tax was introduced. It was a Tuesday afternoon, a time when the cafe should have been busy. It was empty. Maya was sitting at a table by the window, staring out at the street. Chloe was in the back, probably trying to figure out how to pay their suppliers. I sat down opposite Maya. She looked exhausted. Her usual fiery energy was gone, replaced by a weary resignation. "How are you doing?" I asked, my voice gentle. She shrugged, not looking at me. "We are fine." "Maya, the place is empty." A single tear rolled down her cheek. "I do not understand," she whispered. "I was trying to do something good." My heart broke for her. I knew she had the best of intentions. She was just so blinded by her ideology that she could not see the reality of the situation. "I know you were," I said, "but a business cannot survive on good intentions alone." We sat in silence for a while, the only sound the hum of the espresso machine. Maybe you should get rid of the surcharge," I suggested tentatively. She finally looked at me, her eyes full of a mixture of anger and despair. "And admit that they were right, the trolls, the haters." "I cannot do that." It was a matter of pride now. She had dug herself into a hole, and she did not know how to get out without feeling like she was betraying her principles. I tried a different approach. "Think about Chloe. She has put everything into this place too. Is it fair to her to let it go under because you are too stubborn to admit you made a mistake?" That hit a nerve. She loved Chloe more than anything. The thought of letting her down was probably the only thing that could get through to her. She did not say anything, but I could see the wheels turning in her head. A few days later, the chalkboard sign outside the cafe was gone. It was replaced by a new one in Chloe's beautiful script. "We believe in equality for everyone. Come in and enjoy a coffee. We are all in this together." It was a small step, but it was a start. The cafe did not magically fill up overnight. It took time to rebuild the trust of the community. Maya and Chloe had to work twice as hard to win back their customers. They started hosting open mic nights and poetry readings. They partnered with other local businesses. Slowly, painstakingly, they began to turn things around. It was a long and difficult road, but they did it. The daily grind is still open today. It is a different place now. It is less of a political statement and more of a community hub. The murals of famous women are still on the walls, but the atmosphere is more welcoming, more inclusive. Maya is still a passionate activist, but she has learned a valuable lesson. She learned that you cannot force people to change their minds by shaming them or making them feel unwelcome. You have to meet them where they are with an open heart and a willingness to listen. And sometimes, the most revolutionary thing you can do is just make a really good cup of coffee. I am still just a junior architect living in a small apartment, but I am prouder of my sister than I have ever been. She faced down the internet mob, admitted her mistake, and found a way to stay true to her values without sacrificing her business. And that is a lesson I think we could all learn from. As for me and Leo, we still go to the daily grind every weekend, and we always make sure to leave a generous tip. Not because we feel guilty or because we are trying to make a statement, but because we believe in supporting small businesses and we believe in family, and because, at the end of the day, my sister makes a damn good cup of coffee. The whole experience was a wake-up call for Maya. She had to confront the fact that her black and white view of the world was not always helpful. She had to learn to see the shades of gray. It was a painful process, but it helped her to grow as a person and as a business owner. After the man tax fiasco, she and Chloe sat down and had a long, hard talk about the future of the cafe. Chloe, who had been quietly supporting Maya through the whole ordeal, finally spoke her mind. "I love you, Maya," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But I cannot do this anymore. We are losing everything. We have to change." Maya, humbled and heartbroken, finally agreed. They decided to rebrand the cafe to focus on the things that had made it special in the first place. The quality coffee, the cozy atmosphere, the sense of community. They took down the more confrontational signs and replaced them with messages of unity and inclusion. They started a pay-it-forward program where customers could buy a coffee for someone in need. It was a small change, but it made a big difference. It showed that they were committed to making a positive impact on their community, but in a way that brought people together instead of driving them apart. The cafe's regulars started to come back and they brought their friends. Word got out that the daily grind was under new management, so to speak. The business slowly started to recover. It was not easy. They had a lot of debt to pay off and a lot of damage to their reputation to repair. But they were determined to make it work, and I was there to help them every step of the way. I helped them with their finances, I helped them with their marketing, I even helped them paint the walls. It was a team effort, and it brought us closer together than ever before. One evening, after a long day of working at the cafe, Maya and I were sitting at a table, sipping on cappuccinos. "You know," she said, a small smile playing on her lips, "I think I finally get it." "Get what?" I asked. "That you cannot build a better world by tearing people down. You have to build it up, one person at a time, one cup of coffee at a time." I smiled back at her. "I will drink to that," I said. And we clinked our coffee cups together. A silent toast to second chances, to family, and to the enduring power of a good idea, even one that starts out as a terrible one. The story of the daily grind is not a story about a failed business. It is a story about a business that almost failed but did not. It is a story about learning from your mistakes, about the importance of humility, and about the power of community. And in a world that can often feel so divided, I think that is a story worth telling. And as for the man tax, well, let's just say it has been retired, permanently, but the conversation it started, that is still going on. And maybe, just maybe, that was the point all along. It has been a few years since the man tax incident. The daily grind is thriving. It is more than just a coffee shop now. It is a community center, a gathering place, a safe space for everyone. Maya and Chloe have become pillars of the community. They host workshops, they support local artists, they donate a portion of their profits to a different charity every month. They are making a real difference in a way that is sustainable and meaningful, and they are happier than I have ever seen them. As for me, I am still an architect. I am working on a big project right now, a community housing development. It is challenging work, but it is rewarding. I am using my skills to build something that will last, something that will make people's lives better. And I think, in a way, I have my sister to thank for that. She taught me that it is not enough to just have good intentions. You have to be willing to put in the hard work, to listen to other people, and to be open to the possibility that you might be wrong. She taught me that true strength is not about being right all the time. It is about being willing to learn, to grow, and to change. And that is a lesson that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. So if you are ever in my city, come by the daily grind. I will buy you a cup of coffee, and we can talk about whatever you want. Because at the end of the day, that is what it is all about: connection, community, and a really, really good cup of coffee, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of hope for the future. And that is something we can all raise a cup to.